think the biggest mistake is that people are looking for quick solutions.
Yeah.
And this is a cultural thing in medicine altogether, right? It's like, I'm going to get a septoplasty, I'm going to get a turbinectomy, I'm going to use this spray and everything's going to be okay. But I think in reality, what has to happen is people need to be more accountable with their health. All right, welcome to the Alfi Podcast, episode number 47. You OGs out there will remember Hostage Shape CEO and founder Alex Neist from episode number 1. He started this, we started it all here in the studio.
I can't believe how far you've come with the podcast. How many subscribers do you have now?
We're almost at 300K. I think we're at 285 this morning.
That's insane. Like, here, bravo. Seriously, like, bravo. That's amazing to do in the amount of time you did it. And I was the first one. I was the first episode.
First one. And it's amazing. Both of us have learned so much in the last year. It's been a little bit over a year since we met and we did this.
I know.
And a lot has changed. I mean, our knowledge about mouth breathing, nasal breathing, mouth tape, even though we were both in this space, the experience and knowledge has just exploded since then. So there's a lot to talk about.
Totally.
Today. The cool thing about the podcast, I'll go around the hospital now and I'll have physicians come up to me and say, hey, I'm watching your podcast. And patients come and they're watching it and they know a lot of information, and people are really happy about the information we're putting on there because a lot of this is really still not mainstream.
Well, and we're gonna get into that. I'm gonna ask you. We're gonna kind of flip the script here a little bit, and I'm gonna ask you some questions. We're gonna go through some things, and I want to dive into that. Like, why is it not mainstream?
Why is it?
Totally.
And, we're getting there though.
We are. I do feel like we get much because we've been around now for almost 4 years, and the first year, oh my gosh, it was like the first one through the wall is always the bloodiest, and just the amount of blowback that we got was just unbelievable. But now,
let's start there. I want to talk about that.
Okay, all right,
but go ahead. But now it's different, right?
It's becoming much more accepted, and there's less pushback. There's less troll comments. There's less professionals and people who are just complete douters.
Naysayers,
it's disappearing.
Yeah.
It's disappearing, but they're still there.
Yeah, for sure. There's haters out there and there's deniers. Human behavior, people don't like change.
No.
You know, they don't like moving. They don't like trying new restaurants.
They don't.
It's a human behavior thing. They like stability. They don't like change.
I think, and maybe this is where you wanted to lead. The question was, the reason that I think it's actually shifted is, well, number one, when a company like us spends the amount of money that we did to market this concept of mouth taping, that started this wave of awareness of like, wait a minute, is this for real?
Right.
Like legit?
Yeah.
But
is this a gimmick? What is this?
Right. Is it a gimmick? Is this for real? But I think where it really has started to turn the perception is when professionals like you, right? Like Andrew Huberman, like Gary Brecka, Gary Breck and some of those guys maybe aren't like doctors per se. Like, you're a real doctor. When real doctors are very vocal and very public about things like mouth taping, then the public perception starts to go, wait a minute, real doctors are behind this. Real clinics.
Yeah, there's science behind it.
It's like, okay, maybe there's something we didn't know about this. I think that's what's happening. And more people are becoming aware of people like you who are actually saying this is great stuff. It's a great tool. Yeah,
and it's important. We definitely need the medical professionals and even the schools and education system to start backing this with science and understanding it because it's there, right? They just have to open up their eyes a little bit.
So I'm seeing coaches, like for example, the University of Minnesota, their baseball team. The head coach is a good friend of mine, Ty McDivitt. He's got his whole baseball team wearing hostage tape, mouth taping at night, wearing nasal strips, like being very focused on nasal breathing. And then I was watching the Gopher football game the other weekend, and they did a spot where they talked about how they had all their players mouth taping at night, wearing nasal strips. I don't know if it was us. I feel like I would have known if the Gopher football team was wearing our stuff, but that just gives you an example of all of a sudden now, all of these organizations, they're starting to look at things like this as how can we help improve our athletes, even if it's just 1% better.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get into the stats, but nasal breathing, there's no question, increases recovery for athletes.
Totally.
Increases efficiency. You see people like Carlos Correa won't step on the field without some kind of nasal strip.
Minnesota Twin.
Yeah.
Okay. Funny thing is, he actually started out, he was using hospice tape. He might actually still be using our mouth tape when we sleep.
Right.
But I think he uses a different product now on the field. That's not my brand.
Yeah. And that's okay because we need the message out there.
Exactly.
Right.
Totally.
You know, all right. Like back to people like Gary Brecka, Paul Saladino.
Yep.
You know, there's a bunch of, you know, high profile biohackers in the space. They get unnecessary hate.
They do.
And I'm going to say this as a physician myself. I've spoken to Gary. He's very knowledgeable. He's very articulate and he speaks really well. And people may knock that as being a salesman, but I'm gonna give him a lot of credit. He knows health and he knows the science better than many physicians that I know. And the criticism that these guys are getting, they're just influencers. They don't really know medicine. And I've seen some physicians do some TikToks criticizing these guys. Mm-hmm. Just look at them. All right. Look at Gary Brecka.
Right.
He's in his 50s.
Looks great.
He looks amazing.
Yep.
Right? He's healthy. He's fit. Look at Paul Saladino. Mm-hmm. Probably in his late 40s. He looks great.
Huberman, get that shirt off. Huberman, the dude's jacked.
Yeah. So you look at all these guys, they look better than your physicians.
Right.
You know? So there's something there.
And I think what Gary does really well that most people don't understand on the surface is that, okay, he may not be a medical doctor and he talks a lot about medical things,
right.
But what he does really well is he communicates. He does a great job of making something entertaining enough that you can hear the message and get the message that the reality is most actual medical professional doctors, they're not very good at getting in front of people.
They're not.
And talking and making something interesting enough for people to listen to. And that's what he does great.
And he knows science and biochemistry better than most physicians.
Sure.
So, but just look at the people that are giving you that message.
I know.
You know, like a lot of these physician haters, they don't look good.
No. Well, it's like they say, I know my dad he was an ophthalmologist. Mm-hmm. And I think he's told me in medical school, they never covered any sort of nutrition or that whole side of stuff. They just never covered it at all. Yeah. Never did. So
they didn't at all.
Yeah.
You know, in med school, we got very little of that. About the haters, Kobe, there's a quote of all the sayings back there. Not all of his sayings, but a lot of them. And one of them that I like is nobody hates the good ones. Meaning they only hate the great ones. So a lot of the hate that we see, you know, and you probably experience is because you're exposed, right? You guys are spending a lot of money delivering that message. You're not only money, but effort. I don't think people really realize how much work it takes to do that. People take that for granted. They think, they're just a marketing team. They're just advertising. But look, we spoke earlier this week. You hopped on a plane, came here to be on a podcast, give the message. People don't realize what kind of work ethic and mentality it takes to continuously do that and put yourself out there. And in reality, what they don't realize is when you expose yourself, you put yourself out there, you got nothing to hide, right?
Especially in this day and age of social media.
Especially in this day and age. Yep. Same thing with us. We have over 350 before and afters on our Instagram.
Yeah.
Which is way more than probably every other jaw surgeon in the world combined.
Yep.
In before and afters. You know, I challenge anyone to find someone that has more published results out there. It's not going to happen. And then the criticism that we see is, you know, he has a big marketing team. They're all about marketing. It's like, no, we're just publishing our results.
Yeah. We're documenting. We're documenting.
And we have nothing to hide. We're putting things out there. So I think people don't really understand that concept.
Well, and people get jealous, dude. People are jealous of what they can't do, they can't replicate, and they look at somebody like you, what you're doing, or even what we're doing, and go, man, screw them.
Yeah.
And they don't understand it.
Because it may make them feel like they're not living their dream.
Totally.
And they see people out there doing stuff. So think about that. Don't let the ego be your enemy.
Totally.
Is your ego your amigo? Something to think about. And aspire to be greater. Aspire to live your dreams.
Totally.
And I think that people in this space that are out there and doing, there's no hate in the heart, right? Yep. It's like I see someone like you out here working hard, passionate about their message, and it's admirable. I see the effort that you do because I understand that effort that it takes.
Totally, man. When you live it and you go through it and you experience it, you have this anecdotal like experience that changed my life. I can't help but not want to inspire other men. To go through what I went through. So,
but it's true, because that's how this company started, right? If anyone looks at episode number 1, they say that, it came from a personal struggle. Yep,
totally. Personal story of what I went through and then what I wanted to hopefully inspire other men with that story. Do you want to jump into these questions? Do you want to go through them? Okay.
Let's go.
So I've got some questions we'll go through. Mm-hmm. All right. We'll kind of flip it just a little bit here. Yeah. So, okay. Question number 1 is, so what do you think is the biggest mistake that people make when they try to fix their sleep?
That's a really good question. I think the biggest mistake is that people are looking for quick solutions.
Yeah.
And this is a cultural thing in medicine altogether, right? It's like, I'm going to get a septoplasty. I'm going to get a turbinectomy. I'm going to use this spray and everything's going to be okay. Mm-hmm. But I think in reality, what has to happen is people need to be more accountable with their health. And sleep it's not a one-stop shop. There's not one thing that'll fix sleep. Right. It's an effort, and it starts with, for example, somebody comes to me to do jaw surgery and I'm going to make their airways bigger. That's going to help because they're going to be able to breathe better. But if they then go eat dinner at 11 p.m., have some drinks and party till 2 a.m. and then have to wake up to get to work at 8 a.m. the next day, doesn't matter that they can breathe or not because their sleep hygiene sucks, right? So the reality is, it even starts with number 1: how are you even setting yourself up for sleep? We need 8 to 10 hours of sleep, ideally, right? This day and age, it's impossible to get 8 to 10 hours. It's very difficult to,
right?
But you should aspire for 8 hours, I think, and it's something I aspire to. That's first and foremost. The second thing is, now that you've allotted that time, how do you make sure that time is good? Do you have a cold room? Do you have a comfortable bed? Do you have blackout shades? Are you eating at least 3 hours before it's time to go to bed? Are you off your screens a couple hours before to bed? There's all these things that you have to do to optimize the sleep. You're supplementing magnesium. Is your cellular health good? If you're mouth breathing, and that's what we'll get into, that's a huge one. What are you doing to eliminate mouth breathing? Did you look at what the root causes are? Are you using any aids or assistance to not mouth breathe? Right? I sleep with a nasal strip for sure. Yeah. And I've used mouth tape for sure. And it takes a lot of work to get to a point where you're not mouth breathing. But these things make all the difference. But I think the biggest mistake is that people want quick fixes. It's like this Ozempic situation that's happening.
Right.
Like people are overweight. Oh, there's a magic pill.
Well, that's kind of like my next question is like melatonin and sleeping pills.
Yeah.
Right. You walk into Target and Walmart, dude, the aisle, it's full of sleeping pills and melatonin. You go onto those websites and you look for sleep aids. It's full of that stuff. So what is it about those things that don't actually help people sleep? Help people understand why those things actually aren't fixing your sleep.
Yeah. A lot of the medication that's supposed to help sleep, especially prescribed ones, but a lot of them are sedatives.
Yeah.
And what happens is it's kind of like alcohol, right? People take Benadryl, they take alcohol, they depend on things like melatonin. And what they're really doing is they may get to a state that makes them sleepy, because that's what these things are. But sleepy and being asleep for X amount of hours is not the same as quality sleep, right? And anybody that knows when they drink alcohol, they wake up that next day, that hangover is partly because they're dehydrated, but also because the sleep is wrecked.
Yeah.
You're not getting deep sleep. You're not getting REM. And that's the same thing with Benadryl and all these other trazodone and Ambien and all these sedatives. It may make people think they're asleep, but their quality of sleep is awful and it's actually dangerous. So the reliance on these things, one, it doesn't help with the quality of sleep at all. And it also takes away from the efforts that people need to do to naturally increase the melatonin in a healthy way.
Yeah.
Work on their circadian rhythm in a healthy way. And then be in a position where they're not obstructing so that they can breathe well. And all these drugs actually relax the muscles more and cause more obstructions.
So now on the other side of that, when you talk about expensive CPAP machines, that's almost the other side of that spectrum.
Yeah.
What is it about those that is still maybe not helping people sleep very well?
Yeah, CPAP's a great question. First of all, it's a tool, right? And if someone's not a candidate for surgery, they've tried everything, they're doing everything to optimize their sleep, it is a viable tool to help people breathe better because it's better than obstructing. However, it's crazy to me that in 2025 going into 2026, that's still considered a gold standard for obstructive sleep apnea because it's an amazing contraceptive. You say that. I mean, you want birth control, sleep with a machine.
Right.
Because that's going to wreck the mood real fast.
Totally.
It's just a reality.
It's amazing the amount of comments and feedback we get they're like, why would you mouth tape? You should be doing a CPAP machine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So,
yeah. And the reality is that people that, I see a lot of patients, very few of them actually enjoy sleeping with a CPAP and can tolerate it well.
Really? Nobody likes that?
Right. So it's crazy to me that right. Exactly. And then how do you travel with it? It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me that that's the go-to, especially in this day and age where we have such better options. One being, exercise, lose weight, do all the things right, because that'll make things a lot better. Work on nasal breathing, which is huge, huge in it, and such a low-hanging fruit to tackle, right? Which is why hostage shape is so popular. And you have so many imitators now being first. A year ago, there wasn't much competition, right? But now it's like everyone's like, oh yeah, this is a thing.
Totally, yeah. So let's go into that now. So when we talk about what's really happening when people are sleeping with their mouth open.
Yeah. So a lot of it is tongue posture, and what happens is they're not breathing through their nose, and this is crazy because I talk about this all the time. You watch the podcast. There's no animal in the wild that's a mouth breather. Doesn't exist.
Except for my pug sometimes.
Yeah, a domesticated pug will.
Right.
Because the domesticated animals have the same problems that we have. We live in these homes. Life has become too easy for us, and we've altered our anatomy where we're not using our noses.
Processed foods.
To breathe, yeah.
Kibble.
Processed foods, breastfeeding. We can get into that, the many reasons. But we're supposed to breathe through our nose. That's the breathing organ, right? And there's so many reasons for that. The nitric oxide production, the air humidification, the air filtration, which are all huge reasons.
Right.
And then breathing through the mouth, people do that because they can't breathe through their nose, right? Because of all these environmental factors. Their jaws are small, their tongue posture is weak, they're tongue-tied. The reality is that most people, for multi-variable reasons, their oral tongue posture sucks. And that's why myofunctional therapists, I don't know if you're familiar with that group of people, but most rapidly expanding profession in the country right now.
Really?
Yeah.
We've got a lot of those people who contact us on
they're
Instagram.
Huge fans of you guys.
Yeah, they're huge fan of mouth taping for sure.
Huge
Because
fans.
they obviously get it.
They get it. They understand it. So people, because their tongue is not sealed up against the roof of the mouth, which is what you need to breathe through your nose and have the lips closed. Their tongue is low posture. It's not sealed. So their mouth has to be open to breathe. And then really bad things happen.
Yeah. Okay. So now this goes to, we get a lot of people who say, well, you got to treat the root cause. Okay. But why are people mouth breathing? What's actually the root cause? Because it may not be when most people think you got to treat the root cause. That's like a stock response that people give when they don't truly understand.
Right.
So what's going on with that?
Yeah. So it starts off at early development. Maybe even start in the fetus nowadays. Yeah, but it starts at early development. We're not breastfeeding the way that our ancestors did.
Yeah.
By ancestors, I'm not talking about our grandparents or great-grandparents. I'm talking about thousands of years, right? The human history goes back many years, many generations. I'm talking about before we had these amazing buildings and homes and cars, and people didn't have Walmart or Target to pick up formula or bottles, so they were dependent on breastfeeding probably for many years and direct work on the breast. That alone in the first the first year of life is the most pivotal. So how we depended on breastfeeding naturally versus what we're doing now, it's like it's a dent.
Well, I think I was a part of that first generation. I'm 45. I was born in 79, and when formula came out was right around that time where I think if I asked my mom, of us three, I was the youngest. I was probably the one that got stuck with formula, and the other two maybe didn't.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of where it all started, right?
Yeah, formula is a huge thing. And that's why this thing is increasing. It's getting worse and worse. As a jaw surgeon, I've been in practice probably about 20 years now, if you include my training. I've seen a difference in the generations since then. In just this little amount of time, the jaws are smaller. And if you look at our jaws compared to going to the Natural History Museum and look at ancient skulls, we're 30 or more % smaller. We used to have room for all the teeth, and now we don't.
It's wild when you see those and you see the teeth look great, these big old jaws.
Yeah.
And compared to you can look at people now and just see these recessed tiny jaws. And I know, I'm not even a doctor, and I know they're a mouth breather.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why dentistry's a booming field right now.
Yeah.
Orthodontists are doing really well. Dentists are doing really well because people's jaws are not developing properly for their teeth. So there's a lot of issues. The issue with dentistry and orthodontics is they're just looking at the teeth. They're not getting past that and understanding the big picture. But we definitely are seeing a movement towards it. We're talking about all the haters. We have haters too in our profession
That's wild when you think about it. I mean, you're an actual medical doctor doing surgery on people that you have all these before and afters. People can hate me left and right because, yes, I'm just a brand guy. But a doctor who's actually helping people, that's just wild to me.
And you're more than a brand guy. Your Hostage Shape is responsible, and you should be very proud of this, of spreading awareness of nasal breathing versus mouth breathing. You may have done more good than most physicians in this space because of all the work you're doing.
I'll tell you the amount of, so we do a lot of post-purchase surveys, and the amount of post-purchase survey data where people say some form of doctor recommended I try Hostage Tape. That is accelerating.
It's awesome.
The amount of just medical professionals.
And I've seen it, from my end. We've been talking about Airway for a long time now, maybe 5 to 7 years. And when I first started talking to this in the communities and giving lectures and having study clubs, we were an anomaly. Everyone looked at us like we were crazy. We got like you said, we got a lot more hate out there, the crazy Airway people. But it's changing now. If you look at continuing education for physicians and dentists, number one trending courses are on Airway. So that tide is changing fast. So the market is exploding, which is great because we want people to fix their breathing. And when you fix your breathing, not only do you feel better, look better, have more energy, better mood, concentration, which is great. We need everybody to have better mood. It just makes the world a more enjoyable place to live. If our neighbors are nicer and our coworkers are nicer, that's huge.
Yeah.
for experience.
On that, you kind of touch on the question here is when people switch to nasal breathing from mouth breathing, what are the changes that you're seeing that your patients are talking about? Yeah.
So what's amazing is, one, they look better. And I know
how do they look better?
The mewing movement, which is gaining a lot of popularity. It really works for young kids that are developing. It's important to get your tongue up there and have oral posture. You'll actually develop a better jawline. But even in adults, people that start nasal breathing, mouth taping successfully, thinking about oral posture, their jawlines will look better.
Okay, let's dive into this one because this is a controversial topic.
Even as an adult.
It's a controversial topic that there's a lot of people and a lot of other brands and people who they lean heavy on this idea of start mouth taping, you're going to snatch your jaw.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's some truth to it.
So I want to hear, because we don't ever market from the stance of like, you mouth tape, you're going to snatch your jaw. Because I'm not totally
You're not sold on
I'm
it.
not totally sold on the idea that it's going to completely transform my jaw because I'm an adult and I'm not forming anymore. But however, I do think that when you are breathing through your nose, you're mouth taping, all of a sudden you start getting healthier. Your face isn't as puffy. There's things that are happening that just kind of augment the bones that are already there. So
that's exactly
talk about it.
You're hitting it at the right angles. What happens is, when a kid is developing, their bone has the potential to grow larger, wider if they're doing these things.
Yeah.
Right. So,
and that's up until like what age does it kind of stop?
The earlier the better. So the biggest impacts are going to be those first 5 years of life. Right. But there's still impact from 5 to 15 in terms of jaw growth. Yeah. Right. After that, the jaws are pretty much developed where they are. However, once they're developed, they can definitely get worse. Even a 40-year-old, their jaws can become longer, their chin more recessed, their palates more narrow if they continue to mouth breathe. Okay. So things may not grow bigger, but they'll grow weaker, if that makes sense, because of position over time. So it's not necessarily that once they're done skeletally growing that the mewing and mouth breathing or nasal breathing and mouth taping is going to make the jaws grow differently. But what will happen at that point is, one, you'll prevent the collapsing of the arches because good posture is going to maintain.
Explain what that means when you say collapsing of the arches.
Those arches become narrower, teeth become
about like
more
here?
Yep.
Okay.
Teeth become more crowded, lower teeth are tipping in, the upper jaw grows longer, and then the chin and steeper, and then the chin goes backwards.
I do wonder, for me, myself, because I was a mouth breather my whole life. I mean, you can just see, like when I shut my mouth, like you can see how I have a recessed jaw. But I wonder, I've been mouth taping now for 6 years. Okay. Yeah. I wonder, I put my tongue on the roof of my mouth. I'm very mindful of that, obviously now. And I wonder how much has the roof of my mouth actually widened over the 6 years because I've been doing it.
Yeah, it will. It will be better. If anything, you'll prevent teeth from collapsing and tipping in and becoming more narrow, and potentially they can tip out a little bit. So you're probably wider than you were. Yeah. Those are going to be minor movements in growth and width at this point. However, they will happen. And like you said, when you're nasal breathing, you're sleeping better. Sleep is huge. That's where, first of all, there's so many benefits. It's crazy, right? It's the ultimate, what is it? PED? Performance enhancement drug. Sleep is the ultimate performance enhancing drug.
We sleep a third of our lives, and most people they take it for granted.
100%. But if athletes slept, I saw BJ Armstrong talking about we never saw the best version of Michael Jordan because he never slept, which is crazy to think because he was such a freak athlete and competitor. But imagine he slept 8 hours. I heard LeBron does sleep 8 hours a day, which would make sense with his physique and health, right?
I think those guys spend enough money on their like yearly biohacking like routines that you would think,
that they would target that, right?
Totally.
So one, when you mouth tape, nasal breathe, work on posture, you're going to get better sleep. That's where growth hormone increases. If you're a man, testosterone increases. If you're a woman, hormone regulation is improved.
Talk about that as a guy. Like, I'm 45 years old. I don't know how old you are, but I know as I'm getting older.
We're the same age.
It's getting harder, man. Like, you wake up in the morning. I don't know how.
Yeah, like it does get harder with age, and sleep is the biggest hack for that. People are depending on hormone replacement and all these things without targeting sleep. Sleep will do it. There's 50%, up to 50% decrease in testosterone if you're not sleeping well, maybe even more. So it's a huge wreck. And just something as simple as getting 8 hours of quality sleep, it can triple your testosterone scores.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, everybody's got to be looking at that. So I don't know if you knew, but hostage tape potentially can boost testosterone.
Well, I don't really talk about that. Like, I have to be careful about making medical claims, because we're not a medical device. We're just a general health product.
Right.
But yes, I think the idea that, like, look, if you're going to get better sleep, you're going to feel better. You're going to wake up feeling more energized, rested, just all the above. The nitric oxide release. All that you get.
Yeah. So, which is huge. And then inflammation. So you talk about bloating and facial puffiness and all that stuff.
What does that mean?
Yeah. When you're not sleeping well, the immune system is wrecked. That's where the immune system
You're in like
regulates.
fight or flight mode, right?
Fight or flight. And you're susceptible to infections, to illness, to cancer, all these things. These are true. This is not controversial or crazy to say. It sounds like it. Like, oh, you can, prevent cancer potentially. Yes, you can. Sleep is a huge anti-cancer factor. So there you go. I don't know if you knew that. You want to put that one on your list too. Fight cancer with hostage tape. I'm giving you a lot of them, which I know you can't make claims on, but any cancer society, cardiologists, societies, American Heart Association, all these people, the papers are there, the data are there that sleep will prevent heart attacks or minimize the risk, stroke, and the endocrinologist for testosterone, all these things, but it's true for cancer too. Sleep. If you lack sleep, your immune system's wrecked. You're going to have an increased risk of cancer.
And none of this stuff is really taught even to you guys in medical school,
They're still not.
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
I'm a conspiracy theorist and a cynic. And I don't say this in a conscious, deliberate way when I say conspiracy theory, because I don't think that people are consciously or deliberately teaching medicine to make people sicker. I don't think that's true. I think inherently people are good, especially I know a lot of doctors and they're great people and they mean well and they're doing things for the right reason. But I think what happens is sometimes you think you're doing the right thing, but you're not. And that's the reality of life.
It's like good intentions. They mean well.
Correct. So there are biases, right? Just like I have biases as a surgeon, and I think surgery is a great operation for people. And it may not be great for everybody, but it's great for most. I think that when you have a system that, you just follow the money. Like there's so much industry out there on pharmacology. Like the pharmacology world, it's a huge market. I don't know what the trillions of dollars that pharmacology in this country consumes, but it's one of the biggest expenditures in the country. So what happens is, and then what are the other big players? It's like your health insurance carriers, hospital systems, medical supplies. Like if you look at all the stuff that's just to treat symptoms, it's a huge market. So what's going to happen unintentionally, or maybe even subconsciously, those biases are going to leak into how things are taught.
Yeah,
it is. So I do think I don't think it's direct. I'm not saying like conspiracy theorists, like big pharma's out there to teach, Rockefeller was out there to tell people, make them sicker. I think that, you have these these cancer research and drug companies. I don't think they're trying to make cancer drugs to make people sick and feed them things to make them sicker so they can make drugs. But I think because there's so much money in developing these things and selling them, that subconsciously it translates to this culture that we have that we're going to fix things, symptoms with pills. And then what happens is when you have all those things to teach, like a lot of my medical school was really, I had to learn pharmacology. And there were so many drugs to learn and how
Isn't that wild?
Yeah. How do they work? What's the mechanism? What's the chemistry? What's the indications?
Just the idea that we see commercials on some drug you can't pronounce. Like we're supposed to go into the doctor and say, I want that. Can you prescribe that to me?
Yeah, the names are terrible. They need better branding. They need your branding. What this drug, like he should be able to pronounce something you're selling.
Well, and it's wild. It goes back to what we said earlier, where like you Google sleep aid, or if you go into a Target or Walmart looking for a sleep aid, what do you see? It's all drugs, man. It's all drugs.
It's all drugs. We're very pill happy this day and age. And it translates to medicine, like indirectly. Like there's all these drugs because the market is making drugs. So who's prescribing the drugs? The doctor. So then so much of medical school is you have to learn how these drugs work.
Yeah.
And by the time you finish those 4 years of medical school, it's like you spent so much time on drugs that you can't get past the symptoms. Someone has high blood pressure. That's the symptom. That's not what caused the blood pressure. And we don't even have time or energy to get past what caused the symptom. And that translates to medicine today.
Yeah, it's wild. It's crazy. Okay, let's get into mouth taping now. So, in your words, describe what is mouth taping and why should anybody try it before they go to bed?
So, getting back to nasal breathing versus mouth breathing. Mouth breathing is detrimental. And I'm going to talk about that first.
Yeah.
Like, what are the issues with mouth breathing? We talked about the good parts of nasal breathing: nitric oxide production, filtration of air, humidified air, and efficiency of breathing. But when that's taken away, and then people are using the mouth, which is for speaking and eating, using that for breathing, what happens is you don't filter air, so you get dirty air into the lungs, and dirty air into the lungs that without any barrier, now your immune system has to fight all this stuff unnecessarily. So that alone probably increases inflammation and puts your system in a fight mode just because you have pathogens that entered unobstructed. It's like leaving your door open, unlocked, or take out the door. Let's just have a house with no door.
It's also a reason, like people with allergies, it's even worse is because they're mouth breathing that stuff right in, right?
Totally. Yeah. They can't breathe through the nose at all. And now they're mouth breathing all these allergens that their body can't handle in the first place. Right. And you're right. They get into inflammation mode, which is, it's going to cause puffiness. It's going to cause all these other things besides the bad sleep. The other problem is that, for dental health, most of things that people see the dentist for are just because they're mouth breathing and their jaws are small. You get gum recession, you get a dry mouth, which causes cavities, right? So now people go to the dentist because they have cavities. It's the mouth breathing. They have gum recession. It's because of the tongue posture, the mouth breathing, the clenching at night. All comes down to the breathing and airway. The entire dentistry industry, 90% of it are just symptom management from this issue itself.
Yeah.
Right. And bad breath, like if you have bad breath, you're mouth breathing. And these things go on and on. There's so many, almost everything that people see doctors for or suffer from, they can fix with good sleep and good breathing.
I've got a great story about the dentist. You just touched on it. So I go to the dentist probably not as much as I should. Right? Maybe every once other year because my wife is like, you should go to the dentist. I'm like, okay. And then she'll schedule it.
Right.
So I go to the dentist, and this was probably 2 years ago. And I hadn't been to the dentist in probably 2 years since that visit to get a cleaning. And keep in mind, this was a point where I'd been mouth taping now for, 4 or 5 years at that point, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I brush my teeth twice, just like everybody else does, in the morning and at night. I don't floss my teeth. I don't do anything else. I don't do a very good job taking care of my teeth other than that, other than mouth taping. So I go into the dentist and she's cleaning my teeth. And while she's cleaning my teeth, she's like, I'm like, what's going on here? And eventually she goes, your gums and your teeth look fantastic. They actually look better than they did the last time you were in.
Yeah.
So any sort of receding of the gums had stopped and was growing back and improving. So she said the oral health of your mouth is improved and better than what it was the 2 years prior when you came in.
Right.
And she goes, what have you been doing? I said, I mouth tape every night. It's like, that's why.
Yeah.
That's simple.
It's totally protective.
Yeah. For
the teeth, the gums. And you're right. If more people mouth breathe than nasal breathe, especially at night, it may be like 90% of the population.
Yeah, I think
it may be almost everybody.
I think I ChatGPT'd it, and I think ChatGPT...
It's going to give you a conservative number.
Probably going to give you a conservative number, but anybody can go ahead and ask it.
Yeah.
But you can get a sense for how many people in this country are mouth breathing, and it's pretty mind-blowing. And we shouldn't be mouth breathing.
Yeah. So I'm going to say it's probably 90%.
You think it's that many?
I think it's that high.
Okay.
I think it's that high.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me. On the plane down here, I was sitting next to an older gentleman, and he fell asleep. And I look over, and he was Just like that.
Yeah.
So
people are not using their noses, especially in their sleep.
Right.
And it destroys the teeth. It destroys the gums. And I think you're right. I think that alone is the biggest dentistry hack ever.
Well, it's definitely, I know for us, dentists, they're some of the best people to identify mouth breathers.
100%.
And
everything is a sign.
It's interesting. There's a division. I'm told there's a division of dentistry where you've got your traditional dentists who are still pretty on the fence about mouth taping.
Yeah.
Because I think they were taught traditional, older. Yeah. But then you've got your more holistic dentistry, which is becoming way more popular. They're 100% on this train. And like a good example is Dr. Stacy. She was just on Huberman like a couple months ago. She's a huge supporter of Hotch's tape, recommends it to all her patients. And she was talking about mouth taping, I think, on the pod, and she's a huge proponent of it.
Yeah.
But you talk to any of those holistic dentists, and they're 100% on the mouth tape train.
Yeah, I do. And those dentists were looked at as crazy in the community too for many years. But that tide is turning too. I think that the biological dentists definitely have a lot of it right. You know, they're looking at, we talked about root cause, but they're looking past just the symptom. Yeah. And they're seeing a lot of amazing results when they're treating people holistically, and people's teeth are healthier and their mouths. And I see that too. As an oral surgeon who treats jaws, and we work with a lot of all types of dentists and biological dentists, and the biological dentists are getting a lot better results with people. Yeah. In that sense. So there's a paradigm shift that's happening. And, you know, you look at the haters, like you look at the people in the beginning that were really trolling, like it doesn't age well, right? Because here you are a year later since we met, and it's like, oh no, this is how many more people are mouth taping now than they were a year ago. The numbers are probably crazy. You probably know that number. Well, and not only that though, it's like, look, when you've got somebody like Joe Rogan, Joe Rogan shouted us out in March on his podcast, right? When somebody like Joe Rogan, who's one of the most influential figures on the entire planet, goes on his pod and says, oh my God, I just started doing this game-changing thing. I started mouth taping, and I use a company called Hotch's Tape. Like, and then all of a sudden now more and more people are like, whoa, mouth taping, really? So it's great that somebody like him is helping spread the word and saying something as simple as mouth taping can actually make a difference in your life. You should try it. Right. So, yeah. And it goes to that, what's happening when you mouth breathe versus nasal breathe. What the mouth taping is doing, it's helping train the person to become a nasal breather, right? Because it's not natural anymore. People naturally have to open their mouths because their tongue posture is not good. But what happens is when you're training yourself, then your tongue starts to do the right thing, and the strength in your tongue changes. It's kind of like working out. Because what happens is when people are mouth taping, they're working out their nasal muscles so that you're breathing through your nose better. That becomes stronger. And you're working out your tongue just like exercise, and the tone and muscle strength, because it's muscle, just like a bicep muscle, right? It's like going on a treadmill, basically, if you want to simplify it that way. It's like, I get a lot of people who they'll comment on this and go, again, it goes back to the root. You got to treat the root cause of it. And it's like, can it really though just be as simple as our brain has got, especially somebody like me, I'm not an overweight person. Right. So when you would look at me and go, I mouth breathe at night, you look at me and go, you got to treat the root cause. Well, I'm not overweight. I'm really healthy. I'm way healthier than the average person. What's the root cause? Maybe it's just the fact that my brain got trained to mouth breathe since I was a kid. So it's as simple as just shutting my mouth. Yeah. Right? I mean, what do you say to that? Yeah, it'll change the muscle tone and posture, because when you do that, now your tongue has to behave differently, the lips have to behave differently, the nose has to behave differently, and it starts exercising. And neurologically, it starts to train a habit to do it that way. And muscularly, it starts to train the muscles to be more efficient doing it that way. So it definitely will change behavior, but also some structural part of it. Yeah. So it literally could just be that simple, right? The root cause could just be the fact that your brain is used
to you sleeping with your mouth open.
Yeah,
and we just need to shut it, right?
Definitely one of them.
Yeah.
Structurally, a lot of people's jaws are small, and that's a problem. Some people may have tongue ties.
My brother,
it's multivariable. There is some things, but definitely habits die hard, right?
Yeah.
And when something becomes a habit, you got to work against it.
Yeah,
for sure. So mouth taping, I think the market is still tip of the iceberg. I think that, where we are here compared to episode number 1, we're in a different world right now, right?
It's hugely different, man.
Hugely. You have athletes, you have major influencers who are on board now, and that's helping spread the word, and patients are doing it. Me as a physician I see over 1,000 consults a year, and the amount of patients this year that mouth tape and wear nasal dilators at night, extremely different. I mean, exponentially more than just a year ago.
Yeah.
So I know that's good news for you. Music to your ears.
Well, I think it's still good for you because,
absolutely,
the amount of people who just fundamentally just have bad jaws, bad bones that still need to get fixed. 100%.
Right? So for us, it's symbiotic. Like, I love the message because it's so important, and it's probably going to be one of the biggest disruptors in medicine altogether, because we can take people off of pills, right? Mm-hmm. Big pharma may not like that, but like I said,
Maybe that's why I'm banned on Amazon. Did you know that?
I saw you make a post about that.
Mouth taping is banned on Amazon.
That's interesting.
Okay. And we are the biggest brand in the world. We got kicked off Amazon, yet Amazon still allows like these Chinese knockoffs to sell.
That's crazy. And you have a hater out there that's stopping it.
And I'm like, talk about the most un-American company in America that is not allowing an American company to sell a product, but yet they allow some Chinese knockoffs to. But the fact that like something like this is banned on Amazon.
Have you had any explanation or?
Oh, no good legal explanation from them other than that they're Amazon and they can do what they want. And they claimed it was unsafe. So this leads us right into the next question. Amazon thinks that mouth taping is unsafe, in quotes, unsafe.
It's interesting. I'm glad you brought that up. It's such an interesting topic because,
am I going to die mouth taping? Most people are afraid. They think they're going to die when they mouth tape.
Yeah. This is the real difficult thing about the system here because, you go to Home Depot and every tool in there is unsafe.
You could die. Right.
Right. Like a chainsaw, a hammer, a power drill, all those things in the wrong hands are very dangerous, but we're still selling them for good reason.
Yeah.
Right. There's not one product, including a kiwi in the market, that's safe for everybody.
More people die from coconuts falling on their head.
There you go.
We better not sell coconuts.
That's such a weird gray area. It doesn't make sense to me because, a pillow can be unsafe in the house if a kid puts it around their head.
Yeah.
Right? There has to be some accountability and common sense. If someone can't breathe through their nose and then they use mouth tape, of course it's unsafe.
Right.
Right. But there has to be at some point some individual responsibility to account for that. Right. So yes, there are some contraindications to mouth taping. There is a contraindication for bananas for some people.
Yeah.
Right. If a diabetic eats a candy bar unsupervised, it could end up in a hospital, right?
Yeah.
But we're selling candy bars for good reason, right?
Yeah.
So yes, we have to have some common sense. We have to have some, there are disclaimers. If you can't breathe through your nose, don't use it.
Yeah, that's what we tell people. Like, look, if you've got an impacted nose, you shouldn't wear mouth tape, of course.
Right. And you should look into that. And you should use nasal strips. And you guys have those too.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't really understand that we can't sell it because it's unsafe. I think that's more, there's some haters out there against you who knows if it's big pharma or a CPAP company or whatever it is.
You know what's ironic about it too is that I won't name him, but there is somebody of the family that started Amazon that actually uses hostage tape. That's what's ironic about the whole thing.
Right.
Like they use hostage tape. So but what do you say to the amount of people out there who say, well, I would suffocate if I wore mouth tape. I would die. Like, why would I do that?
Yeah. I mean, if that's true, don't use it, first of all.
Yeah.
But, I think that everybody, first of all, the overwhelming majority of people have benefits when they mouth tape. The overwhelming majority tolerate it very well and have good results with it. Now, of course, if you're allergic to adhesives and you're going to break out using the tape, don't use it. A kid that has a small airway that's 4 years old, not a good idea, right?
Yep.
But for the majority of people, if you have some patency in your nose and you can breathe through your nose if you use it, and you're not using it, it's an amazing tool. Now, for anyone that's hesitant, I would always recommend do it during the day first, while you're awake, while you're conscious, see how you tolerate it.
That's the biggest question I always get is immediately their anxiety goes up and they go, man, I don't know if I could do that. I would just feel like I'm going to suffocate. And I'll be honest, the first time that I did it, I'm the founder of the company. I had the same thought too. I thought, wait a minute, am I going to suffocate? Like, what if my nose gets stuffy?
Yeah.
Right? So it's a perfectly normal reaction for people to have.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but I think there has to be some inherent responsibility, discretion using this, just like using alcohol. There's literally nothing in the market. You go to a grocery store or Walmart or Target or anything in Amazon, there's nothing that's safe for everybody.
Yeah.
There's nothing. So I don't think that makes hostage shape any different than any other thing on the market.
It's one of those arguments too where like you could make any argument to make anything look good or bad or whatever. And when somebody's response to me is always from that angle, I almost avoid the argument because you just kind of know, okay, they're either just looking for an argument or they're not arguing from an honest place.
Yeah.
That like, it's just not worth my effort or my time.
That's so true.
And if I'm going to argue it, it's probably better if like an actual doctor did it because then you're an actual person of authority who could say, no, this is why you're not going to suffocate, why you're not going to die. I'm a doctor. I would know.
Right.
And this is my stance on it. Whereas I'm not that, but.
Yeah. So that's true. And the more the doctors out there and myofunctional therapists out there that are, coaching patients and supervising them and being a part of the journey, I think is a great thing.
Yeah. So if you're going to tell everybody out there that mouth taping is safe, how do you communicate it? Well, how do you say mouth taping is safe because of this? Why is it safe?
Yeah. So for most people, it's safe. If you have patency through your nose, it's going to help you as an aid start to breathe through your nose, use your nose for breathing, and, I see over 1,000 people a year and a lot of them most of them have airway issues structurally and they'll find benefits in mouth breathing. There's some people that can't do it and that's true. And you should always try it during the day, see if you struggle with it. If you have anxiety, panic attack, all these things, you may not be a great candidate for it, but we're talking about a small percentage. The overwhelming percentage are going to do well with it. But, work with a myofunctional therapist, the fastest growing profession in the country. Yeah. They're everywhere. And learn how to use the tool.
That's okay. So you just touched on something. I get a lot of people who say, when you try to say, oh, well, there's a large amount of people who should be able to do it. But then they'll say, yeah, but I've got a deviated septum.
Yeah.
Can you dispel that?
And that's important to recognize. Most people do have airway disorders and, a lot of people have deviated septums. They can still breathe through their nose.
Right. Just because you have a deviated septum doesn't mean you can't nose breathe, right?
And if you can't nose breathe, that needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
You need to see someone that can help you with that. Come see us because a lot of it is the jaws. The septum sits on the upper jaw.
Yeah.
A narrow, recessed upper jaw is going to affect the nasal breathing and septum. But I think that's a huge thing that people have to actually address because if you really can't breathe through your nose, you're a mouth breather. Mouth breathing is I'm going to call it an illness.
Yeah.
Mouth breathing is an illness and it needs to be addressed.
Yeah. Totally. What is the funniest story from like a couple that you've had maybe come in, maybe regarding dealing with snoring or their husband, or like what's the most crazy, funny, weird story that you've had?
I can give you one. This is a jaw surgery one related to breathing. And this was about 5 years ago, maybe a little more. And he had pretty bad sleep apnea. His jaws were really recessed. And I did double jaw surgery for him, brought his jaws forward. He was breathing a lot better. Afterwards, I saw him fast forward about 6 months after surgery. He came in with his wife for the first time. I never met his wife before, but they came in for a 6-month follow-up together. And he looked great. He was feeling great. It was a great visit. At the end of the visit, his wife, who I've never met, said, "Dr. Alfi, I want to thank you for something." And I said, "Okay." And she said, "Because of you, I'm pregnant." And I said, "Rephrase." Rephrase. We just met.
Hold up.
Rephrase. And it was a funny moment. But what had happened is it affects fertility. Did you know that? Hostage tape can make you pregnant. But breathing can. Breathing and sleeping can make people more fertile. And that happened with them. They'd been trying for a long time, and they finally had success once he was able to sleep and breathe.
Less stress. But it's probably related to stress, right?
Yeah. I mean, erectile function, a lot of things, sperm health, and stress, and all these things are huge, components to fertility.
That reminds me. So that actually got me a little teary because these real human stories, because that was my experience of going through just this rock bottom moment of not being able to sleep and my wife and everything, and then solving it, coming back together, and now I get to help thousands of people.
Yeah.
And so these kind of stories, I get these all the time. But one that just happened. So I got a card in the mail the other day. And when I pull this card out, because I get these kinds of stories now, I get this spidey sense of like, there's something really interesting. So I'm like, before I opened it, I'm like, this is going to be an interesting one. So I put my camera up and I recorded this and I didn't open it. So I'm recording opening this card. I pulled the card out and there was an invitation and a letter. It was a wedding invitation because the gentleman had said, "I just want you to know I'm a huge fan. Hostage tape changed my life. And now my fiance and I, we're getting married. And this is your invitation to come to the wedding."
That's amazing.
Because of it. And it made me emotional. And because again, it really hits to the core of like what I went through and why I started the company. Now I didn't go to the wedding. I would have. I didn't get the invitation on time. For some reason, it didn't get to me as fast as it needed to. And so the wedding had happened a few weeks ago. But I would have loved to have actually gone to the wedding.
That's a cool story.
And like met the guy, met the couple and film it. But that was...
There's so much truth to that. We talked about this recently, is that sleep divorce. You know what sleep divorce is?
That's my story, man. I snored so bad, my wife slept in the other room for years. I was living that truth.
Yeah. You know, it's about 1 in 3.
1 in 3 people?
1 in 3
1 in 3
marriages.
couples?
Yeah, 1 in 3 couples.
That doesn't surprise me. And what's amazing is...
Nobody knows that.
People don't know
talks
that.
about it, right?
They don't, because
it's embarrassing. Yes.
Totally embarrassing.
Yeah, but it's 1 in 3. So if you're out there, you're not a minority.
Yeah.
You know, it's very common. So, you cured that sleep divorce, not only for yourself, but also for that couple. And I'm sure many, many more.
I know.
So I do want to ask you a question because, you know, what you have, there are a lot of tapes on the market, right? But what I really give you a lot of credit for is this is more than a tape. This is a movement.
Yep.
And it's a movement for biohacking and greater health, and it's a good one, right? You're making actually people a lot healthier than a lot of doctors are, a lot healthier than a lot of farm companies are. It's a real movement, and I love it, right? I'm all about this, and this is part of our messaging out there. It's like, number 1, breathe and sleep.
Yeah.
Number 1, first and foremost, if you're not fixing your breathing and sleep, what are you doing?
Right.
You know, you're just treating things that you didn't address the foundation. That's the foundation.
Right.
So it is a movement. Where does Hostage Tape as a company go? Because I know it's more than tape.
Yeah. So where do we go from here? Well, I think when you think about the brand Hostage, we'd always kind of envisioned becoming more than just Hostage Tape, but being hostage, this brand of hostage, of don't let life hold you hostage.
Yeah.
Which could mean, yes, mouth tape is our hero product.
Right.
That's what everybody knows us for. We are the mouth tape. I mean, when most people think of mouth tape nowadays, like they think of us. We're the brand that comes to mind. And so then we expanded into, we've got nasal strips. We've got some nasal sticks, right? That have natural ingredients in them to help open up your sinuses and everything.
Right.
And we've got a sleep mask. So it's all of those things that are really kind of live around sleep, breathing better, you know, being able to get better sleep and all that, that we've kind of said, all right, what are all these really simple things that we can do to help you feel like life isn't going to hold you hostage anymore? You can live your life. You can breathe like a new person. You can wake up having energy. You can feel refreshed. You can be present with your partner. You can be present with your kids and not fall asleep on the couch. You can actually feel like your full self for the rest of the day and be that man, that woman that you need to be. Movement. So don't let this kind of stuff hold you hostage. That's kind of where we want to continue to grow. But also that's the brand comes from this personal story. Yeah. It's not just some faceless brand that you might see on Amazon, which we've got a lot of copycats who've come out, but none of them inspire you to want to go on there and buy from some no-name Chinese company that if you got a problem or you're not actually getting what you think you're getting, like, are you going to have the customer support or the experience? But I think that's the thing that people acknowledge about us is there's this real guy, this real person, this real company here in the U.S. Who built this company to help me as a person, because this is what he went through too. And I identify with what he went through. And I love that. I love that story. I love how he's trying to help me and everybody else. Yeah. And that's the story and the movement we've really built this brand on, and why I think we really jumped out and I think resonated with people. And it doesn't hurt too that, I call the company Hostage Tape. So that's a pretty polarizing name as is, to really just get attention and get you to pay attention and tap into that emotional feeling of you feel held hostage by poor sleep or your partner, right? So escape bad sleep tonight. Don't let bad sleep hold you hostage became the idea.
Now, when you started this, did you know that you would be basically in partnership with so many dentists, doctors, and really it's become part of medicine? No,
I had no idea that it would actually be embraced this much by the medical community. Yeah, which is a question I want to hear you talk about but I had no idea. I come from a doctor's family. My dad was a doctor growing up. I grew up in his office all the time, so I was around it. And I was around the dinner table. When you grow up the son of a doctor, there's a tone that doctors have with their kids, and so I grew up with that. Yeah, and I never thought. In fact, I didn't tell my dad for a long time when I'd started it and I was developing it, because I was like, he's gonna hate this. There's just no way he's gonna like this. But then when I told him, he goes, "Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah, I've been doing that for years." He just was doing it in a different way,
right? Just to support mouth closure.
Support the jaw. He would do it under his jaw rather than put tape over his mouth. Yeah. And so he was like, "Yeah, that's great. It's awesome."
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's great. Keep up the good work. We'll see. I want you here next year. We're going to see what happens.
We got to keep doing it.
Continue to change. We're in a different world right now.
You're going to get to 1 million followers.
That's our goal.
Something
1 million
crazy
by next year.
And then I'll just keep coming back every year.
And this is the mission. We want to spread the good word. Yeah. All right. I see you don't have some Jordans on.
No, I do.
Are these?
These are Jordans.
There we go.
They're the low top Jordans.
Still the GOAT.
Do we need to talk about this again? Who's the GOAT? Of course the GOAT's MJ.
Yeah, I'm not gonna argue against that. I go MJ, Kobe 1 and 2.
You gotta love though. You got to appreciate just the mentality, that Mamba mentality, and what Kobe brought to the game, and what we can learn from him. Yeah, that it's consistent. Like Kobe is Kobe because of MJ though. Like I think he'll admit that. Like he learned everything. His skill and his passion for the game. He learned it from. And he may not have known it. I don't know if he knew it. Right. I don't know that we knew to the extent that MJ did what he did the way he did it. Right. Until you finally we learned about him and like, oh wow, everything he did was.
And MJ had the Mamba mentality.
Yeah,
naturally.
The OG Mamba mentality.
The OG Mamba mentality. You just imagine if he had hostage tape and slept, what would he have done?
I know, man.
It would have been something else.
Totally.
Awesome.
All
man. Right. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We got some Texas fajitas waiting for us.
Some brisket.
Yeah. When Uber Eats wasn't delivering the brisket, hey, Pit Room, get on the Uber Eats. If you're watching, somebody share this with the Pit Room folks. We weren't able to order your brisket today, so we went with Good Company fajitas, which are good fajitas.
Well, and we're going to test it because I'm from Minnesota. We've got some good barbecue. I want to see if the barbecue that we've got compares to the barbecue down here.
Yeah, Pit Room, we like you, but we're calling you out, man. We couldn't order you today, so.
Awesome.
All right.